Hi, everybody. We'd like to welcome you to Two Silver Boomers. My name is Chris.
And my name is Cindy.
And we'd like to say, where the hell did we get that name from, Cindy? It was your idea. What is
Sorry.
Two Silver Boomers? Explain yourself.
My head just goes crazy. Well, firstly, I'm Silver.
Okay.
Foxes.
I don't know what the hell I am, but okay, Silver.
Well,
Silver Foxes.
I don't like the salt and pepper thing, so I'm Silver. Do not
Okay.
refer to me as the GR.
Okay, so you're Silver, and I'm probably Salt and Pepper. I don't know what I am.
Oh, please.
Anyway, the whole thing is Two Silver Boomers. So boomers, what?
Boomers, not bloomers.
Not blue. No, thank you, not bloomers. We might be that age, but we don't want no bloomers. So with Two Silver Boomers, we're talking about being baby boomers.
Yeah.
We're both that generation. Born between 1946 and 1964. So I'm
Correct.
born in 1949.
And I'm in 1958.
58. Okay, so there are a couple, like 9 years between us.
We're definitely in.
Yeah. And the program is looking at this whole complex thing of aging. We've fiddled around with lots of other names, like It's Time or The Facts of Life, or because the facts of life normally come in your teenage years. But here we have to relearn the facts of life
For sure.
from many different perspectives.
For sure.
Because it's flipping hard. Okay.
Yeah. We've been through so many generations,
Yes.
actually, and now we're sitting at this.
Yeah.
We have to relearn so many things. It's like unbelievable, actually.
And talking about generations, I mean, the baby boomers, which is our generation, we were never going to get old. Do you remember
Who's
this?
old?
Do you remember the song Forever Young?
Yeah.
Which kind of epitomized who we were, Woodstock and hippies and Ban the Bomb and Peace Forever and all that stuff. We weren't going to get old,
Not
and then
at all.
suddenly along came aging, the process. But you don't like to talk about being old. So tell me, Cindy, what are you if you're not old?
Well, I'm in denial, let's be honest.
Okay.
That's fair, but yeah. No, I know I am getting old, and it's kind of scary, but it's also exciting because you've got so much experience and knowledge and information to share. But with that comes all the baggage, if you want to put it that way.
So let's put it that way, because that's
True
the
story.
truth. A true story. So as we're looking at this whole process of aging, of the things that happen, there are all sorts of aspects. So we've probably got a number of topics. And I think that's what this show is about.
Yeah.
It's looking at the various topics that affect the time that we're in.
Yeah. Unpack a few things of what our concerns are, what our successes are, for that matter.
Yeah.
It's not just all doom and gloom.
Not at all. So, in fact, there's some really cool things about aging. The one thing I like about aging is that I tend to get more respect.
I get discounts.
Discounts and respect. Slightly different categories, those two. But no, absolutely, you can benefit from discounts, and one should take advantage of every discount you can find. But the thing about respect, okay, this is getting a bit serious
Yes.
now, but I mean, we live in Africa, and one of the biggest things about Africa is the concept of respect. We should respect each other, and I really like that. I think you should. There's a whole, in the African tradition, there's a whole respect for older people. And I find that sometimes people will simply show me respect because I'm old.
Because you've got silver.
Because I'm a silver fox or something.
No, they definitely do. I mean, I'm having to accept that I get called Tani a lot more these days than when I was like 30 or 40. I mean,
Yeah.
especially in our South African culture, in the Afrikaans culture,
Yeah.
if you are 10 years, it's not so much anymore, but I've still found that there are some instances where it does happen. If you are 10 years older than somebody else, they actually refer to you as Tani or Oom,
Yeah.
aunt or uncle,
Yeah.
even if you're not direct family.
Yeah.
So we're losing some of that respect, but in other instances, there are definitely cultures that have a huge amount of respect for the elder.
Exactly.
Culture.
I mean, no, precisely. If you look at the African culture, I come from KZN, as do you,
As do
Cindy.
I.
So there's that whole Zulu culture where I am Mkulu. Okay, so Mkulu is being the grandfather, but the word Mkulu simply means the bigger one, the older one, as it were. Sometimes I get called Madala, which I'm not so crazy about because that simply means old, or even Kehla, which means like really old. So I'm not quite there yet. But the fact is that you're right.
So you are in denial as well. Let's be honest.
The fact is that there's a nice respect component to this whole thing of aging. And I really like that. So, okay, what else? We were looking at what are some of the topics we want to cover, what are some of the aspects of this process that we would like to look at.
Well, there was the health aspect, there's the exercising aspect of aging, there is the emotional, there is the social. So I think we must pick one of them.
Well, okay, so look,
start
all right,
our
but just to say, so you're talking about physical, you're talking about social, you're talking
Mental
about
health.
mental or mindset.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like to refer myself
Self
as
as
mental,
mental.
but I know a lot of people do, so
yeah.
why not? Your mindset, because mental health is like a big important thing and really applies more as you age. There's family. There's money, finances, all these things really become very important. So let's kick off with one. I want to kick off with physical.
Okay.
So just health, in terms of health and wellness, and in terms of how do we cope with that? Because let's face it, one of the most significant things about aging is the body gets older.
Yeah, the body gets older.
It gets older and things close down and things don't work quite so well anymore.
Or they work too much.
Or they,
And you have to go to the bathroom
or they're
more often.
hyperactive. So, Cindy, let's talk about your situation, because I know that you've had some health challenges in your life. So let's just talk about that for a bit.
It was a couple of years ago, 16 to be exact, that I was diagnosed as HIV positive.
16 years ago.
16 years ago,
Okay.
2004.
Okay.
And between 2004 and 2008, I, besides the HIV, I acquired, because of my compromised immune system, I acquired shingles, pneumonia, TB meningitis, 2 strokes, and cancer. And so that's put me on the back foot as far as my health is concerned. And then in 2018, I also had a massive heart attack, which resulted in a double bypass. So
Wow.
I'm really...
You've had some physical challenges along the way.
Certainly, most certainly.
Okay, so if I look at myself, I really can't boast about any of those.
I don't know what it's supposed to be boasted about, but hello.
I'm very boring by comparison. I get a flu occasionally. Obviously I smoked for many years of my life, so my lungs are quite compromised. Yourself, at my age, you have those prostate challenges and other things. But the fact is that whatever your physical state is, whether you had some real physical challenges, and some people have, and some people haven't. But the one thing we all have in common is a kind of a fearfulness.
Yeah.
A fearfulness about the body kind of closing
Shutting
down,
down,
or giving up, or just not bouncing back the way it used to.
It used to, yeah. It is a great fear. And I mean, I picked that up amongst a lot of people of my age. It's either the joints or the internal bits and pieces, and whether it's organs or whether it's other lesser things that are happening to a person's body. It's fear of, okay, what's happening now? What's shutting down? What do I do?
So exactly, I think that puts it very well. How do we deal with that? If we're talking about aging, and if we've got any older people watching, and hopefully younger people too, and even middle-aged
So
people.
you can all feel sorry for us, you younger ones.
But can we give some advice, please? You know how good we are at advice as we get older.
But are we good at doing it, applying it to ourselves?
Maybe not.
That's the question.
Maybe not. So if I was to say to you, you've had a lot of those. So in some ways, your health has been quite compromised, if I can use that word, which puts you in greater danger at a time like this with COVID-19 that we've been through and that will continue for some time, I think. What would you say? What is your advice, Cindy, to someone getting older and that body beginning to slow down?
At some point, you have to make choices. You have to let some things go. You have to bring on new things. And it's all about choices. And you mentally as well. It comes into the whole physical thing and the health thing. Mentally, you've got to prepare yourself. You've got to put your mind in a space where, you know what? it is what it is. You've got to do what you can to move forward. And what can you do? What can you put in place to make your health situation
So
better?
I want us to try to answer that. What can you put in place? So let's leave the mindset aside.
Yeah.
And so what are we saying? We're talking about physical exercise.
Physical exercise, actually going for your regular checkups,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's your breast checkup, your prostate checkup, your annual doctor checkup, whatever it is.
I thought you were going to
But-
say your anal checkups. Right?
No, that was the thermometer I said I would bring you today.
No, thank you.
Balls. Okay.
Yeah, so you're talking about medical checkups. You need
Yeah.
to go and see your doctor. Be regular about just
Don't do
watching.
Dr. Google.
No.
Yes, it's all good and well to see if there's something there, but hey, at the end of the day, go to the real deal.
Okay, so it's like having a car which actually can last a long time if you regularly service it and change the oil
Precisely.
and have a good look at it and see what's going on.
Precisely.
Okay.
And people, as you get older, you become a bit lazy as far as your exercise regime is concerned, and that to me is a big part of your physical health. Is you keep okay? I'm a little bit on the chunky side, if you want to call it. Well, I want to call it that.
Chunky.
Chunky.
Okay.
I'm a little bit on the chunky side.
Okay.
But I am.
The two silver chunky ones.
There we go. I am putting things in place to get my weight back to where I want it. And if I am at a reasonable weight, I feel, then I am more mobile.
Yeah.
That is to me so important. I work for myself, I live on my own, so I need to be physically mobile to keep my...
So there are a couple of things about that. I think you're 100% right. The one thing about physical mobility is that if you don't use it, you lose it. That's the story.
Without a doubt.
Muscle, tone, and all that kind of thing, it atrophies.
No,
So if
for
you're going to
sure.
sit in a chair and watch television all the time and not go for a walk around the block or do
That's where you're
something,
going to be stuck.
you're going to lose the muscle tone, which means that your body is actually closing down faster, because now you're doing nothing to mitigate against the process.
Absolutely.
And the other thing is this relationship, as we know, but the body-mind aspect. We're talking about mental health and physical health. These two things are so linked. I went through a period of very bad depression in my sort of late 50s going into my early 60s. Really bad depression for all sorts of personal reasons. But one of the ways that I came back from that...
People forget it happens more often than not. I'm an exception to the rule that I don't get into that space. Sorry for interrupting, but there are more people that are suffering with depression than there are not.
Absolutely. And I lived in Australia for 3 years, as you know, and I was fascinated by the openness about mental health in Australia. People spoke about depression. A lot of people are suffering from depression. After the common cold, it's the most common thing that the
Wow.
GP actually deals with.
Wow.
Okay,
Wow.
so people are going in there with sniffles and flu and aches and
And
pains.
depression.
And depression, precisely. And the thing is that really to simply pop people onto an antidepressant or some sort of, that's not the answer. Look, it might be the answer in some cases. It might
Yeah,
absolutely
absolutely.
be the
Yeah.
answer. But there are other ways to do this. And it gets back to this body mind thing, where the more you can get your body going, the more your mind responds positively. So I found when I was in that depression, the more I walked, and at one point I was walking 10 kilometers, 5 kilometers in the morning,
Walked
5
all the way
kilometers,
up to Nigeria by now.
walking a lot because I could sense the difference.
No, it makes a hell of a difference. That even waking up in the morning, you feel that different sort of energy,
Yeah.
different vibe about yourself.
Yeah. And of course now they talk about, well, now we know there's much more science and research done where we know there's a release of endorphins and those other whatever they are.
Bits and bobs.
They're bits and bobs that get released in your mind that provide an upliftment of your mood. It's a mood elevator.
No, very definitely, without a doubt.
And of course, as we get older, we tend to our mood becomes more depressed. Our mood, we're a little bit more.
We're not as physical. I mean, I don't just mean exercise. We don't physically go out as much as a youngster, and we don't jowl and party and what have you. So we're not getting that
liveliness.
that stimulation.
Yeah, exactly. And one looks at the news and whatever, and you get
yeah.
more and more depressed by it. So you've got to counteract that in terms of getting older. Okay, so there's that whole, you once said a word to me, dis-ease.
Yeah.
I like that. So talk a bit about dis-ease.
I don't see myself as ill, and yes, I've gone through all these issues, health issues, but I've told my mind it's not a disease, it's not the end, it's not this, it's not that. And as a dis-ease, it's a temporary, but not for everybody with every single illness that they acquire. But in my case, I feel as it is a temporary dis-ease that I have to make choices of how I'm going to deal with this. And a dis-ease is easier to handle than a full-on disease. It's totally a mindset, thought process that you have to change.
Yeah.
And that is what I've done with myself. I do not refer, and I'll say this now as well, that there is, you see, I have difficulty saying it. There's a stigma, I don't like saying the word, attached to certain illnesses, not only HIV. And the more you use that terminology, the more it's going to stick in people's heads. The more it sticks in your own head. So there again, that whole choice of how you see yourself and your lifestyle, exercising takes half of that situation away. That's my opinion.
Well, I think that's fantastic. And it takes us from the physical to what we might call the mental. And these two are just so interlinked, but so much has to do with the way you get up in the morning. I mean, I don't know anyone who leaps out of bed like that silly Posturepedic ad. Do you do that?
Yes, I do. I pretty much do.
Well, I think I'd fall over and die.
Probably just have
about
to go to the bathroom, but anyway.
Yeah, so you've got a really urgent kind of necessity to leap out of bed. But you don't do that leaping out and stretching like the mattress advertisement.
Not quite, but no. I do get out. I wake up and I get up. That also makes a big difference. There's a lot of people out there that, just put the clock with the alarm off, whatever, your phone alarm off, whatever, for 2 or 3 times. I don't. I wake up, I get up.
Yeah.
And you've got to have some sort of routine when you get up. Don't just like, okay, what now? Do not go to your phone.
Yeah. Well, when are you going to go? You mean check things later?
Check things later. Do not just, hello, up with the phone.
Well, because these days, I mean,
that's depressing. That is depressing.
If you take someone like Robin Sharma, that whole 5 a.m. club or 6 a.m. club, I forget what it's called now, but there's a whole book where he's talking about essentially get up and get going. So
sure.
Allocate 20 minutes to things like, if you're a spiritual person, and more these days, I think people are, maybe not religious, but they're sort of saying, okay, there's something out there that's bigger than me. I need to acknowledge that.
Yes.
And then you spend a bit of time in a kind of a meditation, prayer, whatever it might mean for you. Well, I'm talking about myself. That's what I do.
Yeah.
And then 20 minutes of getting out there. It might be more. I mean, you might go and walk for 40 minutes or something. And then he talks about 20 minutes of self-improvement, things you might read or look at or listen to or watch that just get you going.
Yeah.
So essentially what that is saying is give yourself, whether it's an hour or 20 minutes, whatever it might be, give yourself some time to get yourself going. But
Absolutely.
Get going.
Yeah. Yeah. I've also got my whole routine in the morning.
Yes.
That's why when I had to look after some of the family members recently, it really messed up. It messed up my thought process. It took me almost 3 weeks to get back into the mindset of what I was before. The point I'm trying to make is it shows you how easily your mindset and routine can get be upset.
Yeah.
And I like my routine. I do my exercises, which doesn't take me terribly long, but I mean it really gets me going. I've got that in place, so there's no excuse to have a miserable wake up time.
Yeah. So but there's an interesting point because routine. We're saying how important routine is.
But be flexible.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's what I wanted to say.
Allow yourself.
Was that you can get trapped by the routines when I can't go and do that because I have to do this. I always do this at this time. So you need a flexibility, but linked to that, that you need some sort of routine that gets you going, gets your mind woken up, get out, get into the air, enjoy the sunlight. We live in this fabulous environment and climate. And I mean, here we are speaking from Cape Town, one of the most beautiful cities in the world. Get out there and enjoy the environment that you're in. So I think we're going to stop at that point.
Yes.
And we're going to come back to some of these other, if you can bear with this crazy conversation we've got going
Crazy
on
combo.
here. The crazy combo of the two silver bloomers. Not bloomers, what were we?
Boomers.
Boomers. The two silver boomers having a conversation about the joys and challenges of aging, getting older. So we'll see you next time, we hope.
Cheers.
Bye.